Okay. I would like to call to order the Village of Lansing Planning Board meeting for Monday, September 9th, to order at 7:02 PM. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and we have no minutes. Second item on the agenda is the public comment period. This is an opportunity for anyone from the public to bring up anything that's not already on the agenda for this evening.
Susan Ainsley, trustee liaison.
Susan?
Hi, this is Carla Marceau. I'm here as an observer for the community party.
Hey, Carla. Okay, hearing no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public comment period.
I move to close the public comment period.
Second by Lisa, second by Jim, all in favor? Aye. Next item on the agenda is the big, huge item for tonight. No, so planning board discussion, upcoming topic. So I think everybody, I don't know if you sent that email to everybody or not, but there wasn't anything on the agenda for this evening. So the people that were waiting to come back with revised plans or things like that for some of the outstanding items we have, they just weren't ready to come to the meeting tonight. We decided to, instead of canceling it, since we did just cancel one meeting relatively recently, that it would be a good opportunity for us to just meet really quick, kind of go over where we are with a couple outstanding things that we have, that being the solar law and the tree law that's being looked at right now, so we can get some updates on them. And then also just sort of think about, I've got a running list of things that we've said we want to discuss and what we should try to tackle next, what makes the most sense. I've got some notes in here about what we've said before makes the most sense for us to tackle next, but it's been a little bit of time and maybe opinions have changed or other priorities have come up that we want to think about. So I know Lisa and Lorraine have been working on the tree law a little bit while you've been in town, but I know you've been out of town.
I was like, truly a little bit, except that Lorraine, so the last time I think I mentioned it to you, Mike, but Lorraine and I talked, I said, you know, maybe the best thing would be, we have made some changes or discussion, but I'm not sure we have your notes from that and your notes from that.
My notes you have, because my notes were Yamila's notes. That's not Yamila, but I thought it was, so.
Oh, okay.
I was reading off her, the document that she sent. I can forward it back around to everybody.
Yeah, please do.
Yep.
And Natalie, I don't know if yours are different, but that, if we could incorporate that, because I think we got pretty far.
I mean, I remember I incorporated the notes that I had taken,
Right.
and then I said, oh, I wish
We had
I
everything.
had Mike's notes, because I think at some point, I thought you were writing stuff down.
I was just taking down, I was just kind of flagging the areas where we didn't really make a decision.
Yeah.
So, well, should it be a landscape architect or a certified arborist or whatever? But so, yeah, I've got, I can
So if we
pass
could
around what I
have
have.
those and be sure that Lorraine got everything.
Yeah.
And then I said, maybe the other best thing that we could do as kind of a subcommittee is go to the Dan Siegel and David Fernandez, yes, and ask for their lists of plants or trees or whatever. But one of the things that I thought maybe, and Lorraine already has drafted some nice letters to them, and I said, well, maybe one of the things, I would like to give them a little more guidance about than just, could we have your plant list kind of thing? Because I think Yamila had sent us something from, I don't know, it was Tana Irving. I think.
She did just join on now, too, so she's here.
Oh, good. Which had, you know, medium-sized, you know, small, medium, large, and plants, trees, that kind of stuff. And I thought I had brought that with me. This is what I have. Oh, here, I guess the right tree for the right place. And I didn't know if we all thought this was what we're looking for, which is, we have large deciduous trees, deciduous ornamental trees, evergreen trees, evergreen shrubs, native shrubs, the top 12 native perennials, I guess that would be the grasses and stuff that, but I mean, not necessarily do we want that, but I think we should include it because I think Dan Siegel mentioned how important for erosion for some of our steep slopes. And then trees for planting under or near wires. I would like to know about street trees and parking lot trees, because they're going to have a different salt tolerance and all of that. But anything else? Small, medium, and large trees.
We talked about,
I did think we talked about adding something.
we talked about like multi-root tree systems, and that, but I don't know if they would fall into there somewhere,
We
too.
wanted, well, but if this is a list from them of things that are right for our environment
Yeah.
in the village, I guess that's different than saying we want some diversity and all of that, which I think is another, we're looking at that and trying to figure out where to put that kind of. But we're talking about the appendix and the plant list. And I just was wondering if there's anything else. Then one of the other things is avoiding ones to avoid. I think this is the one that Yumila sent to all of us May 14th in an email, if you want to look at it. And if you have any additional thoughts, let us know. At 10:20 a.m., by the way, just in case.
May 14th?
May 14th, yeah. And we can look at another couple soon, but I think if you don't have any changes, we'll just keep moving forward if you think that's a good approach for us to kind of get that going.
Yeah, and I think if anything changes, with whatever Natalie and I send, if anything changes, at least it's,
Well, we'll have a
we're
discussion.
most of the way
before.
there, yeah, we can go back and tweak things if we need, but I can't
And I
think of
think we
anything that we're
stopped
gonna
at
say
some
that.
point.
Well, the last thing you had taken off, but then I did some searching online, looking
Yep.
for other tree ordinances in similar villages that were our size. And I think I sent them to you, Lisa, there was like 4 or 5. Do you remember that? And
Yes.
remember one of them, when we talked about diversity, I found that language, and it was actually in the Cuba Heights. The updated Cuba Heights version of was it their sidewalk, or it was,
I see now, I feel,
I can resend that email to you.
yeah, do that.
Okay.
Because one of the.
I had all the
we're
links.
talking about percentages of diversity, whether we wanted to get into that, and I don't know. That's one of the things we'll add, but, we can talk as a full board about. But yeah, add section for appropriate street trees, that sort of thing. We got pretty far as a group, but then at some point, it was time to call it a day. But we really got pretty far, I think.
Yeah, I think we did,
I
yeah.
think, so if we can come up with that other stuff, I think we should be able to.
Do we really want to dictate,
Percentage of diversity?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, but I think we should,
these are people's own properties, I mean, give them a list of ones that are going to flourish the most, but
well, I don't think it's just for the residential that we're talking, though. We might want to dictate it more for some of the other street trees and kind of things. I do notice that when I'm driving,
Go ahead, Yumila.
Oh, I was gonna say, dictating a percentage can be a little heavy-handed,
yeah,
but we could look at it the opposite way. So instead of saying you must have this, to say, we can have language where it says no more than X% may be the same species.
I think,
And that's coming at it from like the other direction, which feels a little bit more permissive and maybe a little bit more like people have more free choice.
well, I don't know. It was one of the things that we had out as a question, I think. So I think we need to talk about that. And yeah, and in fact, Dan even said, you don't want this thing where everything's the
Right.
same, but sometimes it looks too spotty.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that in places where the trees are flourishing, as we drive around, like even on Meadow Street, they'll do like 2 of the same and then an alternate, and then a couple, and then, so there will be some pattern to it that makes you feel, and you're not gonna get what we have with our, down here, but then they're not all gonna die at the same time, which is what is happening here, so, yeah, we'll see, but we'll come up with something.
Okay.
And yeah, if you send that again, please.
I'll send it to you, yeah.
Anything else on that?
Nope,
So we'll talk about the solar law under other business, and get an
Oh,
update
okay.
there. But, kind of as part of the rest of this, I really did want to talk about what it is that we want to tackle next. It doesn't have to be one thing. If people want to split up and talk about multiple things, we can obviously do that, but, there's a ton of stuff that we've been talking about. The next things that we said we wanted to talk about, so in order, we're solar array, we're doing that now, tree ordinance, we're doing that now. The next one we said we had wanted to talk about was a chart of uses review.
yes.
But there's a bunch of other things on here. There's the short-term rental and terms. We had talked about maybe waiting until after the city of Ithaca was done with theirs before we jumped into that. We had talked about it quite a bit
They're finished.
in
though.
previous meetings.
Did they just, they did.
I don't know if they're finished.
Yamila would know.
Yeah, Yumila, do you happen to know if the city of Ithaca finished their short-term rental?
No, they have not yet.
Okay.
Wait, actually, let's see. Where were we? I'm trying to think, because I know there was a vote when I was away.
I thought,
Yeah, so I think, okay, I think they did. I'll find the documents for you.
Okay.
And because I know it was at a meeting, then it got delayed, and then it came back again, so I'm not sure if what happened in August, because I was not paying attention in August.
Okay. We had talked about accessory building review and cleaning up some of the kind of terms around them. But we had also said that we wanted to do that before we did the short-term rental thing, so.
yeah, is short-term rental, any issues?
No, it's been pretty quiet since the last time we, had an issue. I mean, really hasn't, no one's called about it, no one's, I mean, I've had stray calls. Does the village have any, laws
Oh,
against
because they want to do
having
it.
statutes or anything like that? And so it's like, no, we're working on it.
Okay.
Those were the things that we had, that kind of at a high level, talked about looking at next. But then there's the gambit of everything else. There's the comp plan, parking lot design, drive-through and takeout.
Parking.
We did finish the subdivision square foot road frontage thing, that was done, and that's, did the trustees vote on that? I think they did.
Subdivision square.
Where we had, remember where we had talked about changing the language for a, where was it that we just did that for Nushin? Or,
Low density residential.
yes, yeah.
Talked about changing it to, because it's sewer now.
Nothing got changed.
I thought there was something that we changed there.
Or you were going to, because it was sewer, you were able to have more, you're gonna make the lots be able to be smaller.
So we haven't changed anything yet, but that's what we're, that's what we're talking about, okay. That was the topic there. I was thinking of the lot line thing too, that's.
Yeah.
But that's been changed, right?
That's,
That has been
it's
drafted.
been drafted, yeah, but not, yeah.
Hasn't been enacted.
Hasn't been passed out.
I'll pass it off to them.
I mean, there's not, yeah,
It's
Still have the county, well, it's kind of a hot subject, starting to a hot subject is your battery energy storage.
Yep, that's, yeah, so that was one of the ones.
For Dryden?
We were gonna see if Dryden was gonna.
Yeah,
come up
the
with
town
that.
was doing
Yeah.
that.
Because they have the same, I looked over the state recommended one, it's just as complicated as solar.
Yeah.
I mean, not so much complicated, it's just cumbersome.
And we've got 2 bus systems in the
We
village,
have two,
one at Dairy One and
No.
one at.
Dairy One
and
and
the one over by the
Brent.
Brentwood. We were gonna have the other one at Transact, but then they backed out.
Yep.
And it's interesting because, I don't know how I came across this, I was looking up something. I think it's important to get to it too, because now Tesla has something called a Powerwall, maybe you've heard that.
That's a best.
But it's a residential one though, so, it's important that we come up with something, I think. So maybe that's next.
Do people want me to keep going, or is that enough
Yes,
to
no,
sufficiently confuse everyone? Okay, so we had also talked about just design guidelines for a subdivision. We had talked about, is it worth us first to rethink, and some of this isn't so much us as maybe the trustees, but like different fees for different special permit items, we can make suggestions, but we had talked about walkways, right? We've got the sidewalk law and plan, but we had talked about, also reviewing how walkways fit into code and things like that. A lot of the bigger developments that have come up, they've got,
Walkways, that's right.
right, so the Beers, for example, there, I know that we had a lot of discussion around, what's where's the sidewalk, these are walkways, here's the road, so, in interconnecting to the rest of the trails. Flag lots came up for some reason, and we had talked about wanting to make sure that, things were sufficient in the code to, help
Or
with them if they
require
come
a
along.
variance.
Yeah,
And it could have,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, we don't recognize flag lots, it would be a variance for minimum.
Lot
50
frontage.
foot lot frontage.
Is that a problem?
do we have? any
Depends if you
flag
want
lots?
flag lots.
I mean, do we have anything here that resembles a flag
but-
lot or not?
Not if, the only thing we had that would resemble one would be if there was a private road on that partial flag lot and then expanded up behind it, but
There isn't anything like
I
that.
can't think of anything. Like Natalie said, it takes a variance, so.
I think that's low on my interest. frankly,
We had talked about looking at language about camping in parks,
about saying,
camping in parks.
oh,
'Cause,
because of homelessness?
landscaping guidelines, just, building something out to help with, all, the special permits that we delve out. And then just kind of looking at the list of conditions that we put on special permits and saying, hey, do we want to make that more robust? And so that at least we have the full list every time, so we don't say, oh yeah, I forgot about we've been saying, could you implement at least 2 of the 4 green practices? And if it's for something that you need a special permit for that it's not, applicable to, we can cross it off, but at least they're all there to begin with.
I think
We had
that-
talked about maybe
I think
some
that's-
seasonal ones, like when it comes to, doing a sidewalk or putting a sign on the ground or, planting trees or something like that, if we want to phrase some of those conditions, differently on them, like we did with Eric, saying, hey, no, you don't have to, if we give somebody a special permit in January, no, you don't have to plant the trees, within 30 days from now, but hey, within 30 days from, whatever that appropriate time of year is to do it, that's when the counter should start, so more like seasonal type.
So that actually, one of the things that I think, maybe it was Yumila, or it was Yumila asked, do we, or somebody said, do we have a checklist for for special permits? Like that every time we go down and we say, have we done this? And I had, my cheat sheets that I gave, we had basically the process.
But
it
not
doesn't,
all the
not the
items,
details.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, if we would do that, that would get included in this.
I'll make you up one, and I'll take it right off the special permit checklist that I hand out to people.
And we'll see if we need something more, because, I mean, we get into, have they hidden the mechanicals, the garbage,
I was
all
gonna
of
say dumpsters, we, like,
dumpsters, oh
hey,
my
is it-
God, there's been
yeah.
a few things where we've really not thought about it. And I think if we could really get a comprehensive list, not that it's gonna be part of the conditions, but maybe that's where we would put a lot of some of the seasonal conditions, so that we would say, okay, are there any seasonal conditions, and we, could expand on that. But yeah, I think that would really be very helpful.
And this is for the board to have.
Yeah,
checklist.
Yeah,
I'll take a shot at it, see what I come up with for next meeting.
I was gonna say, that seems like something that could have this probably relatively lower effort, especially because, right, we're not trying to, it's not local law, we're not
Yeah.
trying to, right, this is just something internal guidance for us.
Yeah, no,
And
exactly.
would probably have a pretty quick impact on,
yeah. I would like to talk to you about, because you gave us a special permit checklist, this thing. But there's some other things that I think, this goes way back, my very first trip to the Planning Federation, 2010, and some of the design standards, and I think it's stuff that I've passed this out to people, you may recognize the font, they use that, whatever that comic is.
I recognize that other thing there that you have right under that.
Oh, yes,
That one.
this, yes, the guy, but this could, there's some things here that I think are something we as a board ought to keep asking at.
To be honest, when I revised that checklist, but that's been 4 years now.
Already, huh?
Might be time to introduce, because you
Yeah.
got the tree law, you got everything else.
Yeah.
So it might be time to update that, so.
And one of the things, I couldn't come to the last meeting, so I watched the Zoom. And for somehow, because I wasn't here, and it was just sort of, I'm thinking, oh, I think twice, after each time Mike presented what was happening with the special permit, and then you said, do you have approval from Brent? And do you have approval from John Courtney? And it came up each time. So I'm wondering what our process is for that, so that you don't need to ask that, we know, and it's received in
Well, I asked
writing.
it also, so it's like on the record. that it's
Okay,
been
so do we usually get it in writing from them?
Most of the time I'll get an email, or they'll be here like Brent, most of the time he's here for a
Right.
project, whereas John's a little harder to catch.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
I kind of take it to him and then ask him if there's any comments or anything, and if there is, he'll usually send me an email.
okay, so I just wanted to be sure that that's on our list.
I was gonna say, I think it's good to be on there, whatever, even if we do need to make that somehow more formal, or if it's perfect the way it is, at least having it on there for the rest of us.
Just because, yep, and then it's on the record. and you can
Natalie's the
ask
one that
that.
remembers
And
it.
if you should not be here, we would know to ask.
Yeah.
Yep, because sometimes we do forget. Okay, oh, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Well, so do you think you can take a stab at that one? You know, in all your free time, yeah? At least as a starting point for us to say, yeah, and let's add these other things that we've all thought
Put
about.
it on the special permit list that.
We can add to it.
John's comments as a checkoff.
Yeah,
Like that.
and then whatever else you're gonna build off of from the, just the special condition, you know, document that you hand out. And we can add stuff onto it. Again, it's not local law, so we can,
Yeah, we can just.
that's a pretty quick living thing. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, let's add it, yep, okay. That was it so far. I did add Bess on here. But what else,
You want
so,
us to rank these, huh?
well, at least, we don't have to rank them so much as, you know, what's the next thing that we should be working on? It seems like we wanted to wait to do short-term rental until the city was done, maybe they are, we don't know that right now. We did want to do accessory building review before that, and we said we wanted to look at the chart of uses and review that,
Well,
I mean, those and the tree law are kind of open.
yeah.
They're kind of, let's kind of, my advice would be to close that stuff up. Get it-
I was just, those are
Open something up.
excellent, yeah.
Yep.
But then I think chart of uses, parking lot design, no, part of chart of uses and then this checklist, I think would be great, because that will impact everything we do going forward.
Okay.
And maybe help with some of this. And then I would like to get into design guidelines for our various districts, because we have some of it, and I think we forget that we have some of it. Well, I guess it could be part of our checklist.
Yeah.
The, which one?
Well, design
Design
guidelines
guidelines,
that we
yeah.
have already in place for low traffic, but not for medium. You know, medium came into being afterwards, and high, and I think that's actually where you want to really be looking, is our high, which, so that's kind of the parking lot issue too, but, and we have some of this stuff in our code a little bit, but it would be nice to kind of have it in one place.
All right, some sort of quick review thing, at least to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we got to finish
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
solar
yeah.
and the tree first, yeah,
Yep.
and then,
Okay. What about other thoughts?
that's us.
Emiela, anything from you?
No, I think, so what I do see is that there was a lead agency and a environmental determination in May for the short-term rentals for the city, and it's not come up on agenda since then, so
Okay,
it must have gotten pushed off and it's not done yet.
okay,
Okay. Thanks for checking.
okay. Other topics or things like that that we want to think about discussing at upcoming meetings, or is this enough? I mean,
It's a pretty good list.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Pretty good
I
list.
think it's enough, but I want to ask the question. Okay. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add before we move on to the trustee report? Should be,
And other, we were going to do other businesses, or.
we'll talk
Okay,
about
yeah,
solar.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Did they have meetings? No.
no, so that's why it's gonna be quick. Next item on the agenda is the trustee report. They didn't have a meeting. So that one's quick, at least not one of their monthly, I mean, they've had the weekly working meeting, but we don't usually report out on those, so. I do want to update this too. Next item on the agenda, other business. So, before Lisa left, her and I met, or in between trips, her and I met, and I gave an update at the last meeting, but we looked at everything, and once we got the most recent copy of the solar law from, I forget who sent it to us.
I think I did.
It was, I thought it
It was Jody, and then I
It
had
was
to send
John,
a.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So Lisa and I had looked at it, and I let everyone know I had emailed Natalie or called her and said, you know, one of the things that Lisa and I thought might help to kind of bridge, you know, kind of how we were feeling about stuff and how the trustees are feeling about stuff is to, just under the general conditions in the in the draft solar law, just add one in there. It's not a decommissioning plan per se, but, you know, one of the things that we were hoping for with the planning board of the decommissioning plan wasn't necessarily money, but it was definitely like, it would be great to have a plan that's not always going to be feasible, but at least to raise awareness then for the person who is installing this, to say, hey, you know, at some point,
responsibility.
something might have to happen where this has to come down, and you're responsible for that. So in front of you, everybody has an update that Natalie provided. If you look under general conditions on page 3 at the bottom, it's general condition number 13.
Lucky.
You can put the page number on there, look at that.
You did that on purpose.
No,
You could have made it,
I
you
just
could
liked
have
the
made it
last
14.
one.
When I
The
added it,
last
I
one.
made it number 14.
no, I just liked, the last one seemed more complete.
So owner operator of a solar energy system shall be responsible for the removal of incomplete, unused, or inactive solar energy systems, the elimination of all safety hazards, and the remediation of the site, and all costs to associated therewith pursuant to subsections G and H below in the provisions of this code. That, I know that captures what Lisa and I were thinking about. I don't know if other folks had
Yes, that needed to.
thoughts about it. But really, you know, just, and we'll recommend it to the trustees. Obviously, we're not, you know,
Yeah.
doing that. So this was the first part of it. There's one other thing, but there was that kind of language in there. Lorraine or Jim or Pat, did you have
Do
any
we,
thoughts?
yeah, just a very minor thing. Do we need that word too?
No, I crossed it out.
I was gonna say, you'd sort of, I do, and I thought, whenever you pause, you always have to think, wait a minute, okay, so we're deleting that word?
Yeah.
There
Cost associated with. Okay. No, I think that was just, you know, this came up because I went to the trustee meeting with the wrong version, kind of ready to, you know, do battle or whatever. And in getting prepared for that, I started going through some of the stuff, including our application. And I realized we have to revise that too. I think I brought that up before.
I had mentioned that at the last meeting, but we wanted
Right.
to wait until we had something like this.
And then we would.
To then
and I
go
said- And I even said to Mike, do you think, Scott, do you think it would be okay to put something like this on the application too? Because they have to sign as well as the installer. So I think that these are improvements that I could live with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on 13, do we want to put a timeline on it?
Well, that's pursuant to the
Yeah.
sections G and H would have,
Yeah, which
would have the
is
time.
It does have those in there, yeah.
Yeah, it's 12 months if it's inactive
Yeah.
or something, then he has another, I don't know, 90 days, 60
Yeah.
months, something like that.
It's all laid out without getting too onerous in the general
The
requirement.
main thing was just saying up front, you're responsible for this.
Yeah.
If something has to be done.
And so we have some sort of leverage as a village. It's not the village's responsibility.
Any other comments on that line there?
I think it's in a beauty.
So the other piece of it was this chart that Mike made a copy of and handed out to everybody. And this is
So,
a build out of kind of, you know, we had a very slim, hey, here's what you need a special permit for, a building permit for, and the solar permit for.
and Kathleen mentioned at one of the meetings afterwards, she said, you know, I think I would find it helpful to have some of this stuff. So I tried to do it, and this may be more or less than you need, I don't know, which is why I wanted to talk about it. Where did, I don't have my book.
Do you need another copy?
I don't know. No, I don't, but it's, I can't find it yet. Here it is. I put it in. Okay, so, I know this is silly, but, well, first of all, it's very large. I think it's hard for me to read this in such large font. Is this too big? But I didn't know whether to put check marks, dots. What is, I'm thinking maybe Pat could help with making this a little more, I don't know, what.
I think this makes sense.
I was gonna say, I think it makes sense the way that it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did it in Excel, and I had a heck of a time having nothing in there, because it, you know, you can't just put nothing in there. It wants to total things and stuff. All right, so, Kathleen, would you like one of these? Since you're.
I was gonna say, we can make you a copy. Well, we'll send, I mean, we'll send it.
Yeah, when you're.
Yeah, I want to talk about this, and then we'll talk about, you know, if people are comfortable, we can just do a
Okay.
quick vote, just to, you know, pass these along to the trustees.
So what I tried to do was go to the thing and just say, okay, where does it say this?
Yep.
So the Village of Lansing, so all tiers need the application, all tiers need the building, general conditions, some are covered here. In this case, you don't need a special permit for tier 1, but you do for the other two. Same goes with the landscape and screen plan, because it's roof mounted only. Signage, no signage really, except for the tier 3. Decommissioning responsibility, I just said all 3. Decommissioning plan, it's obvious, decommissioning bond, just so they know there's money involved. And then the allowable districts. So the first one was all residential districts, that's all it says. And then I put includes, should I say, do I need to say that includes residential
The residential
PDAs?
PDAs.
Most people don't know a PDA is anything different, but,
PDAs aren't necessarily residential.
Yeah, they're not strictly residential or commercial also.
Okay, good case over here. This PDA over here is commercial and.
And
so
residential.
just
So where
We
would,
just say, we
resident,
didn't distinguish between residential or commercial PDAs, and we just say PDA.
I can. Because I do a plus PDA in the others. But it's
But you
residential
also
only.
say,
Because the roof-mounted commercial, this is where I got hung up, because roof-mounted commercial is a tier 2. And that's where I started getting kind of in a twist.
residential PDAs. I'm not sure you'd have it fully. It's its own zone.
Well, I
it's its own
Shannon-
thing, that's the
Its own
thing.
zoning district.
Shannon, I know, Shannon Park is a residential PDA.
Right, it's a PDA, but that's designed as a residential,
Solely residential.
versus this one is both, versus, I guess, you could have a just commercial PDA.
So my problem is I just didn't know how to do this, and I don't think I could get any guidance
This
from
is
the law.
including all planned development areas.
So is that, would
Where does- where
that,
does
so
it
would that
say
be
that?
another line?
F1,
F,
tier 1 solar energy systems, all tier 1 solar energy systems.
Shall be permitted in all residential and agricultural zoning districts, including planned development areas.
okay,
So we don't dictate residential PDAs.
okay, so I'm just gonna say plus PDA. It's not gonna fit in that little place.
Or you could just make a PDA
You could just make a
line
PDA line.
and just say all three.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm being a pain.
No, but I think you could, because.
You're not, because there's actually something really important here. So we talk about residential, we talk about commercial. Where do we put things that are kind of larger scale residential? And like the PDAs tend to be written to accommodate things that are beyond, our regular single townhouse family kind of thing. But there's larger apartment buildings, and their roof mounted are more similar to commercial roof mounted.
So, but that makes them, well, that's the whole point. So if you look up under the definitions of tier 1, 2, and 3, tier 2 is commercial roof mounted. And yeah, I will say, when I was doing this, it was actually very helpful for me to get my head around it. But so whenever I thought, well, what about if this would be, well, it would be okay if it would be BJ's, which is the PDA, because now we've gone to tier 2. And so different requirements are there, if that makes sense. Because tier 1, the only thing is if it's residential. Or on farm. Does that make sense?
Okay, so what would be a situation, so for instance, at our, at the housing on Oak Crest, that's the senior housing, that's under a PDA.
That would be, if on the houses that are currently there,
Those would be residential roof mounted houses.
Yes, so that, they would be tier
and then
1.
if they put another thing on the commercial,
Commercial parcel there, that would be commercial roof mounted.
And then it would be tier
Tier
2.
2.
Okay.
And if they're ground mounted, either place, they'll be
That is tier 2, yeah.
tier 2. And then depending on size.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I should say, so how about I leave all residential districts, all agricultural districts, and then you want me to go all PDAs?
Yeah, or just make 5
Or just make a
planned
new line 5,
development, yeah.
all planned development areas.
All planned
Yep, and then, yeah.
development areas, PDAs. Okay, So, then I didn't know about this, I did some asterisking here. So that one residential ground mounted, less than, it's not 500 square feet anymore.
1325? 1325? 35?
1325,
1325.
less than or equal to 1325.
That's- And then the other is capacity of up to 0.2 megawatt,
Because anything over that kicks it into,
and no more than 110 electricity consumed on site in the previous 12 months, because that's what our thing says.
yes, yep, that's accurate.
So I just included that, just so there's no question, but.
So then, do we still need, so if we go down here, we've got all residential, all ag, do we still need number 3 and 4 to say plus PDA? Or is that covered under
No,
PDA?
I was
Okay, so you'll, okay, yeah,
gonna
yep,
just get rid of them.
yep,
That makes it much better,
okay.
yeah, because and get rid of this notes. But I just
Now
thought,
make it smaller then, too.
yes.
Well, yeah, I don't think we need to put that in the, yeah.
Well, I just thought if you wanted to hand this to somebody, they could actually write their own notes or whatever. I even considered whether I should give them a little place over here to check. That's what I like, but that's why I numbered.
You're too generous.
Okay, I will make those changes, and we'll include it with our submission to the trustees.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I would say, real quick, are folks comfortable, we can just say by a show of hands, passing these suggestions along to the trustees? All those in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have the revised application to give to them? Because the trustees haven't even seen that.
No. Well, they saw it originally. Well,
The
they were
Village of
given
Lansing
it.
version?
Oh, they were given it. Whether they saw it, I do not believe some of
Because it
them
hasn't
looked
been
at it.
discussed.
I was gonna say, we can send that along
No,
too.
when we
Can you-
If
first
it's gonna,
sent
is it
them,
revised?
not yet,
But
because we
back in
didn't have the language.
Yeah, okay.
What changes we want?
Yeah, it's just that, it's on the front page, it's, I can pull it up. and we
It's
can-
number 3 about the parallel.
Yeah.
It was the very last one on the first page. And
Because
then,
that's not relevant anymore.
because they deleted that, and then somewhere, if you can put in this statement on.
Yeah, I'll make that minor revision and send this around to everyone.
And put her decommissioning thing in wherever it fits, somewhere near maybe where they're gonna have to sign. I thought I had the application, but I just have all the past versions of everything. I have it somewhere folder, but yeah, Pat, I thought maybe we would be doing that sooner or later, and Pat knows that. Good.
So when you have that revised, and Pat, you have that revised, send it to me and I'll forward it along with a note.
Send it to correct Mike Baker.
Well, I don't forward it to myself, I'll send it to the correct net. I'll send it to everybody, and I'll also ask, if they want to meet to talk about anything.
Okay,
Or if they want us to give this is a little bit different, it's not like the full-blown, presentation off the bat, but I can also just provide a little commentary in there about why we think it's important to add the statement in there. Everything else is kind of just helps people in the village who want to do it, like the chart isn't needed, but it's really there to help people.
well, it's the appendix,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? This is our appendix.
Yeah, it's there to
I
help.
think it's a.
I think it's great.
I like stuff like this.
Yeah.
And if they want to know more, Mike can steer them as to the section that they need.
Yep. Okay. Other business? Pat? All right.
Yeah, I do have something. I've noticed it, Pat, I don't know if you noticed it, but up in the neighborhood, you know what I'm gonna say, don't you?
Is it the end of the road where there's things parked?
Yeah.
I have a picture on my phone.
For over
gonna ask
a week now, there's,
I won't steal Lorraine's.
I'm sure it's the contractors.
What is this?
Their trailers, they're parking, Ivar and Norway. They're parking their trucks.
Oh,
The contractor.
They were putting the trailers on there because there's not enough room on that threeplex to put the trailers on there, and they had a lot of concrete trucks come in lately.
Their trailers have been there for over a week. They have not moved.
They've been-
And there's 2 big ones and a smaller one,
I don't know whether they'll put it back or not, but I know they moved them over there because they had a lot of concrete trucks in there.
but it's still a road and there's still a stop sign there.
it's
I mean-
in that little turnaround.
Yeah, it's that,
Have you seen?
that ends between Bomax and,
I'm like, so I wondered if,
yeah, yeah.
they don't own the road,
Yeah.
so, I'm just saying.
I had the exact same.
I'm
I
surprised,
parked my truck there.
you know that
I
somebody
would
would turn you.
trailer, I bet somebody would
Oh,
turn in.
in a
and
second.
The county sheriff would
So
show
I'm
up.
surprised nobody has said anything, because there are people like Wolfgang, I'm surprised has he said anything about it?
Thursday's coming around.
Huh?
Thursday's coming around.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I probably just cursed that. Anyway, I've noticed it for over a week, and I just thought I'd mention it, because that is a road. I mean, even though it's a dead end, people use that path,
Out there, the people.
and people
park,
use,
try to the
and
path.
people use that all the time, yeah.
But they haven't blocked the path, which is good.
Well, I mean,
You can get between the trailers
yeah,
to walk still.
yeah,
That was my only concern with those,
yeah.
as long as they didn't block the path.
See, Pat noticed it too.
Well, I figured Pat noticed.
I would hope so.
Feel like we're with the dogs the whole time.
I would have noticed it, because I have to go to the post office tomorrow, and I always go that
well, you'll
way,
notice it
just to see
tomorrow.
what's going on.
Oh, yeah, they're the strikers. So Sunday, there were more of them than there were today, but they were all the way down Warren Road to Bomax. In fact, they were parking on Bomax. Today, they were almost to Bomax, but they had cones up right before Bomax, so.
See, I've missed all this.
They're parked all the way back to Cherry Road today.
Oh, they were parking on the other way?
It was hard for people to see.
Somebody was parked on Bomax, but then when I came back at noon, the car was gone, so.
Shouldn't go to the post office.
Oh, no, it's not interfering with any of that traffic.
I just,
What else?
That's it.
Jim?
I don't have anything.
I'm wondering if we're hearing anything about McGuire doing their,
No,
nothing? All these things just hanging in the air.
and it's active at this point would be Abreu
Be who?
from Warren Road,
Oh,
who came in and
that's
gave
the
us the
only thing we're
informal
waiting on stuff now?
Oh, the
for
old,
680 Warren Road.
yeah, because, yeah, that was the one with the covenants. But that was interesting, having watched Zoom, because I was concerned about that's what's derailed it in the past. And it's a problematic site
Well, and
from the,
Mike found during the meeting that they decided to only do single-family houses.
oh,
The last development wasn't gonna do a duplex, they were only gonna
No.
do single families.
Because there's a
And then it fell
revised
apart
plan.
because of COVID.
Yeah.
well, I think, well, geez, given all the streams and everything, well, how is that cost effective? I don't know, not our problem.
I look
But,
at it.
I've got more on that when it comes around to
okay,
whenever you guys want to hear it.
So which development are you talking about?
680 Warren Road,
oh, this was something that was discussed at the last meeting.
the parcel is.
You and I were meeting, but I did hear the Zoom on
Is
it.
that the one near Arleo?
No, that's,
Between Northwoods and Dart Drive.
Oh, okay.
It was the one that was gonna be, they were called solar farms
Solar
or
farm.
something.
Oh, yeah,
It
that
was
was a
kind
while
of-
ago.
It was an interesting
yeah, they dropped that
development.
before COVID.
I was sorry that didn't happen.
Yeah,
Actually, I would prefer to not have single families there so they could get more. Duplexes or
Because they'll
something.
see they'll see, they'll see what they find in the governance and,
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
but that was interesting, because they said something about some of them could, after a period of time, go away?
No, they don't go
I
away,
didn't
but
think
it's
so.
questionable as to who could enforce it.
yeah, who can enforce it if everyone
And
is,
then also, there's a section of the real property law where you have 2 years to bring a claim for
Oh, boy.
covenant breach, so
Oh, boy.
you just
All
hold
right.
your breath for 2 years,
Yeah.
basically.
Which I don't think they
And then
do.
the statute of limitations is
Is up to bring a claim.
Well, I just know it's derailed a lot
Yeah,
yeah.
in the past, so.
there's
that was-
a mechanism of clearing title, but it's time.
It takes
Yeah.
longer, I think, than people want, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
What else?
having it all wooded is actually not that bad.
no, unless you,
But it likely won't stay that way realistically.
it is pretty
Yeah.
in there, but it's also, I think there's some real challenges, and then that in and out thing.
There's some even more challenges now
Oh,
with the state.
Oh,
Because it's a divided highway.
because it's what?
Oh, because we started on it, there had been rumor about national wetlands, and I'll have more information for you, but it's either the national wetlands, which normally between DEC wetlands and national wetlands, DEC wetlands, you have a huge buffer. You can't get anywhere near them, you can't develop anywhere near them. And the rule that's intact now is that national wetlands, you can build up to them as long as you don't disturb them.
Okay,
They have different sets of rules. What they're looking to possibly do now is having the national wetlands as, and I've only got bits and pieces of this, as state controlled. Now, state controlled, does that mean DEC controlled?
Oh,
or
boy.
another? I don't know. I have no idea yet. I'll find out more about it. But what they're going to do is, it could happen at the beginning of next year, where now, instead of being able to build right up to a national wetland, you have a 100-foot buffer. If you put a 100-foot buffer on that parcel,
there's no place to
yeah,
build
you're not doing
anything.
it, you aren't gonna build on it.
I was gonna say, because I remember that was horrible last time, all the streams and the way they have to get ingress and egress, it was just a real problem.
I'll find out more about it, more details. I talked to him, I'm gonna try to get ahold of Brent some more and find out some more about this. But in my conversations with Ibra, when she's been in here a couple, 3 times, and they do have, if you can get before the end of the year, either 1, site plan approval, or 2, negative declaration for a full EAF, then you would be so grandfathered, so to speak,
Okay, I see.
into what it was.
So-
So she's asking me, can that possibly be done?
Time is
Well,
of the essence.
you would have to get in it, so you probably have a better shot at getting a negative full seeker evaluation, because we could do that really anytime, as long as we have a site plan to see what's going on. But to get a cluster subdivision site plan approval would be difficult by the end of the year.
Yeah, given where we're at, yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at, and I said I would bring it up to the planning board this evening, that she's gonna try to, one, she's working with someone to get the wetlands delineated right now.
Important.
Kind of getting it
Yeah.
right now, we need that first. And then come up with probably a similar site plan as what you saw before, something similar to that, because you are restricted on what you really can do.
No, it was
And the
really,
last people that
Yeah.
came in with something that kind of, I mean, why reinvent the wheel if you've got something, a kind of a template to go by? Not exactly the same, I don't want any copyright issues, but not exactly the same, but similar. So
Yeah.
she's working on that now, so.
Yeah, that's gonna be,
Okay.
Up with.
never a dull moment.
Yeah.
Jeez.
related to that, it being a tight schedule, we have a planning board meeting on New Year's Eve, which. I don't think we're gonna make that one.
No, I was gonna say, but I actually have already canceled it on my calendar, I don't know. I thought, well.
I did too.
No brainer.
You can move it over to long shots.
Might be open.
Well, so we have September, October, and usually the Thanksgiving one.
The one in November is,
It's after
right,
Thanksgiving, I think.
it's right before,
Oh, it's
Tuesday
like,
before, which, I mean,
So
count me out,
yeah, I was gonna say,
Won't be there.
yeah,
count me out.
yeah, so,
I'll be in California, but I would attend if we were gonna have one.
I'll be on a plane.
On a Zoom, you mean?
So you could have.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't even know, I'm not even looking for Zoom.
not because of people, just because of everybody. Ooh, no. Well, we can talk about it,
Yeah.
we've got a few meetings to talk about it, what people figure out their plans.
At least, yeah, we have 3 more meetings before.
What else?
That's it, I just was wondering if there were any things going.
I already put canceled on my calendar.
For New Year's Eve?
I did it the other day, yeah,
I did.
because I realized I didn't have the Board of Trustee meetings on my calendar for November, and then I was like, oh, I'm missing all these dates.
Yamila, anything?
You didn't have anything?
No, Yamila says no.
Nothing new?
Oh, my gosh.
Sidewalk looks great on Graham Road.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Sidewalk,
Yeah,
the sidewalk.
On Graham?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
that, Yes.
Took my
Graham
kids.
Road.
Nice.
Yeah.
My kids,
They're gonna fix the road.
And the, yeah,
They
the
have to.
northeast looks
Well, I
nice.
know, I noticed something, uh-oh, they left a curve, they plan to, I was thought, oh, that means they're gonna resurface the road so that it's handicapped accessible, because it's drop-off is still about,
Yeah, I saw that today when I went to take my kids there. I saw the
No.
new parking spots today. I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
no, it looks good.
Some of them are even numbered now, too, out front on the side that faces faces Target, yeah.
On the south side, it sort of stops to go into the building that's right on the corner. What's happens there?
The sidewalk
Just,
is brought over to the property line past the first parcel on the corner, the thin ice parcel.
and then there's a gap, and then it doesn't connect to this concrete one. Is this going to be another one of those things like over on Bowman's where there's this
That's a John Courtney question.
7 feet of nothing?
Yeah, they need to fix it.
That's so silly.
I know, it looks awful.
I just hope the salt doesn't eat away the concrete.
Yeah, happens a lot.
Happens.
I was thinking that spalling thing is a real problem, I know that.
I take it you have.
That's all I have.
Okay, Mike,
I've already said my word.
anything else you want to share about any of the topics we discussed tonight?
No, I don't have.
So, I could also, I see that the sidewalk is being replaced on Crest, so then that completes the certificate.
Oh, you got some landscaping, you got some other little things that.
Gotta accept the easements.
Okay,
But the easements are done, they're just not accepted because.
Well, John and
sidewalk.
Don do need to sign off on them.
Right.
But yeah, they're done.
okay.
It might be too cold to put trees in.
Talk to Dan Siegel anytime up to practically Christmas.
Well, at this rate we're going, it could probably be like January or February.
I think he's done.
Yeah,
It's actually frankly better to plant trees in the fall.
Yes.
that's
Plant them
right.
up until about
That's what we
March
learned.
trees.
Heat strain.
They
That was
actually do
sarcasm.
better.
Sorry, no.
He was being sarcastic.
Sarcastic, which probably
Oh,
isn't a
good,
good
good.
idea in a public meeting, is it? To heck with it. Oh, well.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
Is anyone opposed to canceling the meeting on New Year's Eve? Okay, so we'll cancel that one. I don't know, Mike, if you want to.
But we still come in for Columbus Day.
We still,
Oh,
I
and one of our meetings is on Veterans Day,
was gonna
Yeah,
say,
that's what I thought I remembered.
And on Columbus.
November 11th.
no, we always have indigenous, isn't it, indigenous people?
People's Day.
It always is.
It is indeed Veterans Day, oof, gosh.
And I always remember it because that was the first time when Mike, somebody said, and he says, oh my gosh, that's such an important holiday to my family.
Yep.
And for a second, I looked, and then I realized, so,
And that
I
sarcasm.
think of it every year.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:55 PM.
Oh my God, is this a record?
No. Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Lorraine, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, everyone. See you, Carla, see you.